Hello vlog, as you can tell by the title, today we are doing a little bit of a glow up before we go on a trip. I have a lot of things going on right now, like my skin breaking out, hair, nails I just took off not too long ago, my lashes and eyebrows need to be done, so there's just a lot of things going on. And so I want to make myself feel a little bit better and feel a little bit more confident before I go on a trip and just do things the best that I can. I can't do much about the acne that's forming on my face right now, but I can do stuff about other things. We're going to touch up my eyebrows, touch up my lashes, self-tan, and then do my nails. Now we can't do all that at once. We have to do it in certain steps. We're going to start that now. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint my press-on nails that I'm going to put on because I'm not going to put them on until later, but I want to go ahead and have them painted. That way they're ready. So let's go ahead and get started with the nails. Okay, so for my nails, I use these BT Art Box press-ons and they are just clear and I paint them the color that I want. I do have some press-ons that are already a certain color, but I sometimes just like to do my own color. That's what we're going to be doing today. I'm just going to grab this set and I have this pretty red that I'm going to paint it. It looks a lot more like a bright red on camera, but it's more of pinky red. And then I have some chrome that I got from Amazon that we're gonna try and do. In order to do this, I have a gel lamp and I like to do it on all these nails before I put them on my nails. One, because then I have a whole set to reapply if any pop off. And two, it protects my hands from the UV light. I have a base coat, top coat, just like I'm doing regular gel nails. And so I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna do my base coat first. And I usually just do one layer because the color lasts really well on these. I need to get some more base gel. I'm running kind of low, so I hope I have enough to do on all these nails. I'm just gonna start with a section, go ahead and do the base gel, and then I let it cure, and then I start with the color. So I will show you once I am on the color. I got distracted with watching a movie, but this red is a lot more pink than I anticipated, and it's looking red on camera, but I promise it's like pretty pink. I'm gonna go ahead and do a top coat on some of them and try the chrome and see if it's going to work with this color, and if not, I'm just going to kind of ditch this and go to a different color, and I can always use these another time. And I'm just trying it on these ones at the end because the ends are a little bit too big for my fingers anyway. I'm just using this top coat from X-Coat Tips to put it on there, and then I do the chrome after it, and then you do another layer of top coat on top of that. So we're gonna let that cure for about a minute. And you want it to be dry after you cure it. So that's how you know if it's ready, because you can't put on the chrome without it being dry. Like if it's tacky, it just doesn't work. I feel like this red is going to be so pretty. I'm very excited. And the red's kind of dark, the chrome. So I think it will end up working out with this color, but I just want to test it before I do the whole thing because I can always paint another red color over these also because I haven't top coated all of them, which I might end up doing. Okay, so it wasn't quite the color that I wanted, so I'm gonna go over with this deep red and try and see what it looks like if I go over, and I think it's gonna give me a good base for this chrome because this red that I'm painting on is very similar to that color, and also the layer of the pinkish red acts as like a nice layer underneath, so that way I don't have to use too much of this red as well because I am running a little bit low on it, and hopefully I have enough. Like I said earlier with my other stuff, I hope I have enough to do all of these, which I think I do. You can kind of see the difference there, how like those are a true red and these are a little bit more pink. So I think this is going to look a lot better. Okay, so I wanted to kind of show on here what I'm working on. So you can see I've done the chrome on all of them, and I'm trying to decide if I like this chrome better. I don't know, I feel like this is more of a chrome effect, and then these up here are just kind of shimmery. I don't know how well you can see them. Okay, I wanted to show what they're looking like. I'll definitely show once I put them on, but they're super pretty. One of them did fall off. Maybe you can see. It's not working. I will definitely show them once I put them on, but they're very, very pretty, and I'm excited to have them on. I think they're gonna be perfect for the holidays. Kind of like exactly what I was going for. Like I wanted a shimmery red, but I didn't want glitter. I painted some not that long ago, and it was straight up glitter, and it just wasn't what I was going for. So they're actually just still like sitting in my bin to be used at some point. So I'm gonna finish the rest of them. Okay, we are back to our glow up. So the nails are all painted. I think I showed them all complete. If not, I'll definitely show them once they're on my nails. But now I'm going to touch up my brows and my lashes. I think I'm gonna do my lashes first because my lashes take about 30 minutes. So this is what I use for my brows. It's the Just for Men mustache and beard dye, and I use that for my brows. And then for my lashes, I use this dye that I get from Amazon. It's just I think it's also an eyebrow dye, but it's in the color black, so that'd be way too dark for my eyebrows. So I do use it for my eyelashes, and it's super easy, and I've been doing this for a couple years now, so I don't need that much of a touch up on them, so like they're not gonna have to sit the whole time. But I'm going to first take some of this e.l.f. cleansing balm. I'm gonna put it around my eye, and I'm gonna be careful not to get my lashes, but this just protects the skin around it, so that way if I get any dye, it just wipes right off. It doesn't really stain my skin. Try and put it on my eyelid if I can. So now I'm going to put my other glove on. Probably should have put on a different sweatshirt, but I'm freezing, and this one's like one of my warmest ones that I have. So this thing comes with just this developer and then the actual dye, and you just put it 1 part each. So I do 1 part of the dye on this little plate that it comes with, and be very careful because this stuff will stain like your counters, and then 1 part of the developer. And if you have a little bit extra developer, that's fine, because developer is what helps develop the color. You just don't want to have too much dye and not enough developer. And then I buy these micropore brushes off of Amazon. I bought them years ago and I still have so many, and I'm just gonna take it and mix the two together, and it kind of starts looking brown. This one does, like this. That is totally fine. You don't need more to get a color. This stuff, as it develops, it gets darker. So we're going to then just start applying it to the lashes, and I really try and make sure I get every part of my lash, including like the corners as well. That's the part I usually miss. And if at any point you get any on your skin, you just take a Q-tip and just wipe around, and as it's developing, you're gonna want to just sit there and watch it and make sure that none is getting on your skin, because even though you do have that layer, you're gonna want to just make sure you get it off as soon as possible. So I'm gonna get up close and apply this, and then I'll come back. Okay, so it's all on my lashes, and I'm going to leave it for about 20 to 30 minutes. This was just a touch up, so I didn't do a ton, and I don't have to let it sit as long, but it's already getting like that dark black color. And so now I'm just gonna clean everything up, and then I'm going to switch to my brows. Okay, so now for my brows, I thought I had another little plate, but I don't know where it is. It's probably drying somewhere. So I'm just using a paper bowl so I don't dye any of my actual plates or anything like that. But for the brow dye, it's pretty much the same process. You're just going to do 1 part of the dye and then 1 part of the developer. And this stuff lasts forever. I've had it for so long and I haven't run out and haven't had to buy more. I think this stuff works really well. My brows are not like the best shape, but I do what I can. But then same thing, I just take a micropore brush and I just mix the brow dye, and I use the color, I think it's like light medium brown. I take 1 of those to mix it, and then I take another one to actually apply it, because when you apply it, you have to be a little bit more precise. So I'm just going to get a little bit on here, and I'm going to just start applying it to the ends first, because that's the lightest part, and this stuff only sits for a couple minutes. So that's why I would do your lashes first. So I'm just going to apply anywhere that it's light, and don't worry about messing it up. We can take a cotton swab and fix that. And I'm just going to slowly start to work some of it into this part of my brow. I don't do this part, but except the bottom. For some reason, the bottom of my brow hairs are really, really light. You can see I'm starting to shape it a little bit, and then I'm just gonna take a Q-tip and then just kind of go like that to help with the shaping. And then we're just gonna do the other one. Going to clean this one up with my Q-tip, and I'm just gonna let that sit for a couple minutes and then wash it off, and then I'll kind of trim some of my hairs as well. Okay, I am now going to wipe them off. It's been probably like 4 minutes or so since I had this on. And I'm just going to take a cotton pad and just wipe the dye. And I had on that cotton pad this Avon makeup remover that I've had for years, and I only really use it for this, but it's such a nice like gentle makeup remover. I don't know if they still sell it, but if they do, you should get your hands on it because it's amazing. But I just wipe that with a cotton pad, and then I just take like the dry part and then just wipe off any excess. And that's pretty much all I do for my brows. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a tint. You can see that they're not nearly as dark as the dye, and you can always go back and add more, but I think I'm probably good where I'm at. And then I usually just take a spoolie and kind of brush it up and then just trim it, but honestly it's looking pretty good. Okay, it is now time to take the eyelash dye off. So I just did the same thing and I put some makeup remover on a cotton pad. You can also use this as well, but for some reason I just like this lotion one when I'm taking it off. So I'm just gonna go in and just start wiping my eye, and it's gonna look crazy for a second. Make sure your eye is closed. You don't want this lotion to go into your eye, but this stuff just takes it off so easily. Go in with the dry side. And I know it looks like I'm like rubbing my eye, which I kind of am. I'm being pretty gentle with it and just making sure I'm like really focused on like getting that dye off. Okay, so now that that is off, I'm going to wash my face, moisturize, and then it's time to self-tan. While I get everything ready, I'm gonna tell you about the self-tanner I use. So my favorite right now when I'm not doing a spray tan is the Loving Tan Deluxe Self-Tanner. It's like a gradual lotion and it has a guide color. So it's not like the Jergens one where it's invisible and actually has a guide where you can see what you're doing. And I apply it to my whole body just with some gloves. I don't use a tanning mitt because when I use a tanning mitt, it soaked up a little too much of the lotion. So I actually just use like a pair of rubber gloves to put it on. And then I use a makeup brush for my face. So it soaks up a little bit when I'm applying it to my face, but that's okay because when you're applying it to your face, you don't want it to be super dark anyway. So I'm only going to apply this to my forehead, my nose, and like this area. I'm not going to be applying it to the lower half of my skin right now just because I am experiencing some breakouts. I'm in my luteal phase and that's usually when I break out a lot. So I don't want to accentuate any of my pimples. This stuff does not break me out, which is nice. I do think sometimes self-tanner can like make my pimples look worse. And I'm gonna do my neck, even though that's breaking out a little bit. And I'm just making sure to blend it as best as I can. This stuff actually blends really well and really easily. And then I'm just going to take a cotton pad and go in my hairline because I do have blonde hair. And then I'm going to do the neck. And then for the body, I just take some more gloves and I am going to put those on and apply it all over my body. But I'm not going to show that on camera, obviously. So I will come back once that's done. Okay, so now it's time to put on my nails. But first we have to kind of prep our nails. So I just remove my cuticles by pushing them back and then just clipping them. Sometimes I use a cuticle remover, but I'm not going to today just because they're really not that bad. And then I take a block and lightly buff my nails on the top to give it a little bit of like a rough surface. And then I just wipe them down with some alcohol. So we're gonna do all that. So the tools I'm using, I'm pretty sure I just bought from Amazon, but you can get them literally anywhere that sells nail stuff. So I just have this that helps push back my cuticles. And then this right here is a cuticle trimmer. So I'm just gonna go in and just gently push them back, trim them up, and I'll come back on the next step. Okay, so we are on to kind of lightly buffing my nails. So I took all my cuticles down. They're not perfect, but I don't really care. And now I'm just lightly going over my nail. I'm not pushing down super hard, but I'm just creating a rough barrier. It does damage your nail a little bit, you know, it's not damage free, but this gives the glue something to stick to. This step is completely optional. You do not have to do it, but I do think it makes a big difference with how long my nails last. The last nails that I had on, I put them on November 20th, and the first one popped off on December 7th. And what's nice is if they do pop off, you can decide to just put it back on. But at that point, I was ready to do my next set. I have a list that I keep of what nails I like to put on my fingers, and then I'm going to use that as kind of like my reference instead of having to fit them all. Okay, so the rest of the nails I will end up putting in a little baggie to take with me where if any pop off or anything like that, I have some extras to pop back on. But now I'm just taking an alcohol pad of 70% alcohol. I'm just going to wipe off my nails. This gets off any extra dirt, any of that residue from when I did the filing down. And then I also just use this to clean up any glue as I'm going. I just kind of keep it nearby. So I just use the Beauty Secrets nail glue. And so I'm just going to put a thin little layer on my nail and then just push it down, and pretty much all you do. So I usually start with like these fingers and then I do my thumbs last and push and hold. And then I hold for, I don't know, maybe 15 to 30 seconds for each nail. And then I just do it for the next one. It's pretty easy. I'm watching this like holiday bake-offing on Hallmark Channel, and I've had it recording for the past couple weeks. And there's this one girl named Gabrielle, or Gabrielle. I think it's Gabrielle because I want to say her name was Gaby. Anyway, so she is on here and I'm like, God, she looks so familiar. I can't figure out why. And I just realized, so I used to love watching Clancy Burke. I started watching her vlogs when she was, I think, in college, and then she was a news reporter for a little bit, and it was so fun to watch her stuff. And she had a news reporter friend named Gaby. I think she said a Gaby. It's spelled like Gabby, but I want to say that she would say Gaby. And I'm watching this and I'm like, wait a minute. What's this girl's name? And they said Gabrielle. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that Gaby or Gabby? Whatever, however you say it. I can't remember. I went and looked her up and sure enough, that's her. And I just thought that was funny. So I had to share that. Okay, so now that the nails are on, we're gonna go in and trim the little tops from where we took it off, like the plastic thing. And I just use my cuticle cutters for this because I can be very, very precise. And then after you trim it, you can go in and just like file it down. Now, a lot of times people will want to do this before they paint them because like that's why people will put them on their nails and then paint them. So that way the whole tip is painted, but this has never been an issue for me. Like it still looks just fine. I don't worry too much about it. I'd rather protect my hands. It's totally up to personal preference. Okay, these are what the nails look like. I wanted to show it all up close. Very similar to this ornament we have, almost like a mix between this one and this one. I think they are looking super pretty. I'm really happy with the color, and I'm going to pack up the extra and put them in my purse.